Welcome, Pathfinders. I'm Rick.
And I'm Heather.
And if this looks a little bit different than we usually do, we're actually trying a new format here. So we're basically just going to carry on and pretend like we like each other.
Pretend.
Yes, pretend. So as a number of you probably know, PaizoCon recently passed, and unfortunately I was off, getting the ring of commitment. And
he decided London was more important than PaizoCon.
Which, I mean... But some of us did get to go. You guys might have seen Jordan and Jess there, as well as Heather here, who were wandering around PaizoCon and generally bothering the people that work there. And
hey, we were nice about it.
yeah, it's true. What did you learn from PaizoCon?
I don't learn. It wasn't like a lesson. I mean, it was fun. It's my second time going to PaizoCon. I went to several panels, learned some new stuff about the new Book of the Wild, and no, it's not Book of the Wild. That's Breath of the Wild, the Zelda game. What is it? What? It's Ultimate Wilderness.
It's the
Now
alternate.
without the cloud. That's bad.
It's the alternate wilderness
Yes.
where you can. Yeah, it's the fungal forest in the Darklands.
And the Book of the Damned was the other one, which I'm actually really excited about. It compiles some of the information from the 3 softcover Book of the Damned, but there's a bunch of new information and new art. They've got information on following the demons and devils and daemons and everything else statted out within. So I'm really excited about that one.
Well, yeah, because a lot of it is information that was already available in the previous 3 books of the Dam, which for a lot of people I think are generally, I wanted to say they're out of print. I'm not entirely positive they're out of print.
James Jacobs said in that panel said that most of them were out of print now.
Yeah,
so.
And the Bestiary 6 does have a whole bunch of the archdevils and everything else in it, but it'll be a good option for anyone that's looking to do Diablos. Still coming, generally on the heels of Hell's Vengeance.
And Ultimate Wilderness, which I now remember what that book is called.
Yeah, it's not alternate.
They have the new base class, the Shifter, which we were told is pretty much like a paladin is to a cleric for a druid. So these are the nature warriors, and they'll be able to take on aspects of different animals, like their claws and other features.
Right.
And there's also going to be archetypes for your animal companions and familiars to kind of spice that up, and I'm really interested in that. So I think that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, and one of the more popular books has always been like there's a familiar folio, which was really popular and introduced like the familiar archetypes and everything else.
And then there's also
So the
animal companion little soft cover. I can't remember what that one was called.
So yeah. Anything? Well, I know they also. You guys went to the Paizo preview banquet.
Yes, and we.
Starfinder galore.
Yeah, there was a lot of Starfinder information this year. They announced the new adventure path. Apparently,
the Dead Suns or Dead Stars is the.
That's the Starfinder one, and then they announced the new Pathfinder adventure path, which it's about a civil war in Taldor. I can't remember what.
War of the Crown?
War of the Crown.
Yeah.
We've got Jess and Jordan pantomiming things at us. It's pretty great.
Let's get them like cue cards or something to hold up next time.
So that sounded really cool. They also talked about the new computer game, Kingmaker computer game,
right.
Which is in the vein of the old Baldur's Gate computer games, which are freaking amazing.
Just something I was wanting to talk about. So yeah, the Kickstarter for that went live. The early bird get in there and get the game for like $22 I think is already over, but I think for like $25 you can get the download, and I think it's like $45 you can get the hard copy of it.
And I was worried about it being called Kingmaker because we haven't actually had a chance to do the Kingmaker Adventure Path yet, but it's not
apparently
Adventure
it is based
Path.
on the Adventure Path.
Oh, you told me it wasn't.
Yeah,
now
I
I'm
lied.
sad again.
I lied.
Because now I can't play it until we play Kingmaker. We should do that after Strange Aeons then.
Or more importantly, you can also play it as Tyrant Maker. Apparently you can just be utterly evil and like feed your people to trolls and all sorts of amazing things, which actually sounds pretty cool.
The right time to play a Blight Druid, I guess.
Blight Druid or Anti-Paladin or any of the Cavaliers, because they're really all bad people.
All Cavaliers are bad people.
All Cavaliers. I have never played a game with a good Cavalier. If you have, comments. But I've never played a game with a good Cavalier. They're all like Order of the Rooster, and they're just terrible people.
I don't think I've ever played a game when anybody's been a Cavalier, so
They're all terrible
He's
people.
the one that says they're terrible people, not me, it's him.
They're all terrible. If you played a Cavalier, you're bad and you should feel bad. No, I'm sure you're wonderful people. So, yeah, actually, it looks pretty interesting. Chris Avalon, I'm going to apologize if I'm not pronouncing that name correctly. But Chris was, from what I understand, the lead writer for the Icewind Dale games.
Those were good games, too.
Which were great games. I wanted to say he was also attached to Pillars of Eternity and the recent, what was the second one?
Tyranny?
Tyranny.
Yeah, there you go.
And from what I understand, Chris Avalon and the other people at Owlcat Games, which is their studio, were all attached to those as well, so did a whole bunch of writing and other things for that. So honestly, it's got a pretty good pedigree going into that.
Yeah. The other really cool thing I got to do at PaizoCon, going back to that, was if you've never been to PaizoCon before, once you get your tickets online, they open up a lottery, and the lottery is for like the games run by like the Paizo staff, like James Jacobs and Eric Mono will run a few, and Jason Bowman. And you get to rank it from 1 to 4 about how interested you're in, and then there's a lottery and you can win a few slots. I got lucky this year and got to play a game with James Jacobs and then another game with Jason Bowman, and it was amazing. So if you ever go to PaizoCon, be sure to keep a lookout when they open up the lottery so you can be sure to get in on that. Jess and Jordan actually got to play some Starfinder, and they really, really enjoyed that
Dancing
as
around
well.
in the background. Very excited.
And then most of the other panels and stuff are about new books or they have a rules question and answer where, you know, they'll try to answer some of the more obscure rules and things like that. It's a really cool and fun event. So if you ever get the chance to go, definitely go to PaizoCon.
Yeah. I believe it's, up until this point, it has recently been a Memorial Day weekend. Just to give you that extra time and everything else, and to make sure
it
the
goes
flights are
Friday through Monday. So
and it's generally held up in Seattle. Of course, we're not going to know if it's necessarily held in the same place every year, but if you're in the Seattle area, it's also, well, you're very lucky in that case. So outside of the video games, which I know they're also doing some more stuff with the, I want to say Obsidian is doing some more things with the card games.
Yeah, the card game's going to be, they're relaunching it on Steam, and it's free to play, or you can buy the set that comes with all the characters unlocked and a bunch of other stuff unlocked. And I think the full thing is only available on the computer,
Right.
But I don't think you can get the full one on the tablets. The tablets is still free to play.
Yeah. So lots of computer game options. On the more actual sitting down at the table side of things, which is mostly what we do, generally speaking. For most of you that have followed us up until this point, or anyone new, first off, welcome. Secondly, I primarily do game mastery stuff.
I am really horrible at game mastering, so I'm a player.
I don't know if I've ever seen you try.
Once.
Once,
like before I met you for White Wolf, and it was bad, and I've never looked back.
So we have had an opportunity to look through a number of books, so we're going to talk about some books with all of you guys, because that's more or less what we do here. I think you've been talking about PaizoCon for a little while, so I guess I'll take over. So we have actually had some time to look over Bestiary 6, which for those of you who do not know, there is a Bestiary 6 now. I've definitely enjoyed this book. It has been a very solid addition to it. What a lot of you people might not know out there is, you know, we've been doing this, playing this game before Pathfinder actually exists, from way back in 3.5. And
AD&D before that.
And AD&D before that. So all the old school gaming. And there's actually not a Bestiary 6 for 3.5. Like, they hit 5 and they stopped. I mean, if you really count in, they've got like the Fiend Folio and the Book of the Dead and all the rest of that good stuff. Some of which were actually really solid options. But Bestiary 6 is kind of a new milestone for actually reaching this point. For a lot of people, they kind of walked into it and it's like, oh, okay, well, what are they going to do with Bestiary 6? They've done 5 billion Bestiary, well, literally 5 Bestiaries up until this point, 5 billion monsters seemingly scattered about all the books. And each one has a little bit of a theme. You know, Bestiary 1's kind of the classics. Bestiary 2 is more or less like filling in the missing places in Bestiary 1. I want to say it was 4 or 5 is where they toss in all the mythic creatures and all the rest of that. Honestly, like outsiders have always been a reoccurrent theme. And so Bestiary 6 has surprised me. Honestly, it's probably up there in like one of the top 2 slots. Like Bestiary, of course I'm going to go with Bestiary 1 because I use that one more than literally everything else. Because you could never run out of hill giants and orcs. And goblins and all the other things that are generically everywhere. Bestiary 6 is kind of a beast of a different type.
Just flipping through it, there's a lot of like high challenge rating stuff in there.
A lot of high challenge rating stuff.
Like let's have a fight with some archdevils, or let's fight the horsemen's horses.
And the horsemen are also in there, but they do include their horses because they're kind of a package deal. Although honestly, the idea of like having a horse for the main villain for a campaign, it's like challenge rating 25 horse, is pretty amazing. So if you haven't had a chance to look that over, that's pretty great. It fills a lot of slots though that were missing things. Like it has a bunch of real world mythology. There's a two-tailed cat in there that's pretty amazing. It's like this Japanese mythology thing.
And there's a bunch of new Fae.
Yeah, there's a bunch of new Fae. There's even a Fae playable race from first level. It's a adjustment race. You can start out as playing a Fae, which is kind of neat. And there's a lot of 2-page spreads, which is something they haven't done in a number of the books up until this point. So you'll get like 2 pages, and it's not necessarily on the things that you'd usually expect a 2-page spread on. It's like, oh, okay, it's Mephistopheles. Of course he's going to get a 2-page spread.
His artwork is actually really cool.
His artwork is actually really great. But there's like other creatures that just get these amazing 2-page spreads in there. I want to say like the Krampus does, which is pretty cool. If you want an entire Christmas theme.
You want to save Christmas.
Yeah. Or I think they call it like Winter Festivus or something.
I don't know. Our characters are always murdering stuff on holidays, so they don't really celebrate.
I'm pretty sure most of the murder hobos out there probably are not on the nice list for Christmas. But I could be wrong. But no, actually the book was generally really good. Had a whole bunch of like fun things to it. The artwork is great. Like I've generally liked the artwork in most Pathfinder products, but no, I mean Bestiary 6 like really kicks it up. You can kind of tell there, looking at the front, you got Mephistopheles hanging out in the background and Charon ready to paddle you across the river Styx and all the rest. So that gives you an idea of what you should expect. It's a far cry from Bestiary 1's Goblin and a Troll on the front of the book. And I want to say there's a Marlith in there too. But no, highlights from the Bestiary 6, I think the Archdevils and Demons and everything else, it's a nice addition. You already had Cthulhu statted out in the previous book, and you get a little bit more like Elder God stuff scattered about in this one. There's a great number of new races.
Like playable character races.
Playable character races.
And a few options for like new improved familiars.
Yeah. And there's some things that have been in the game for a long time, and I'm shocked and amazed that it's taken this long for it to get into a bestiary. The Cutlass Spider, which some of you may be groaning and remembering from Second Darkness. The Cutlass Spider is in this thing. And Second Darkness came out in like 2009. So the freaking Cutlass Spider is in this thing.
Which also means it's updated because Second Darkness would have been 3.5. Yeah. So
and
it's a brand new Cutlass Spider.
Yeah, and we're still waiting for we've been told not inevitable hardback.
Yeah, I asked James Jacobs about that at a panel in PaizoCon, and he said there are no plans, and it kind of broke my heart a little.
Yeah. So breaking her heart, James. You're killing her.
I was very sad. It's true.
But, and honestly, with the new Kingmaker coming out, we might get a Kingmaker hardback before we get a Second Darkness.
I would really rather them do Second Darkness and Legacy of Fire. Those are the last two that are still 3.5. I think those need to be brought forward into the Pathfinder rules before we start revamping other adventure paths that already have Pathfinder rules.
Yeah, I mean, that being said, Kingmaker is one of the single most popular, for good reason. I never got to finish it, but I did get to play up through Book 5. I had a whole lot of fun with Kingmaker. I thought it was a great thing. And they've kind of expanded all of the rules elsewhere. The mass combat rules, the kingdom building rules, the settlement rules, the exploration rules, the background rules. All of that has been expanded upon and really fleshed out subsequently. So I think if they went back through and made that into a hardback adventure, that'd be really good. Maybe that's why from what I understand, they're giving away PDFs. Well, not giving away, but in some of the upper tiers of the Kickstarter for the game, you get the PDFs for the adventure path. So a little trade-off there, a little bit of a chance for you to both play and then, play on the table as well, and hopefully not as many spoilers, but we'll find out. I guess it technically goes both ways. Like if you played the adventure path, you've already had the game spoiled for you, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of surprises in there. Yeah. But no, Bestiary 6 comes with a lot of high recommendations. It is almost a big boss fight book. Like there's a lot of this stuff that I could read this and I could go, I could make an adventure path around saving Christmas. Like I could make an adventure path around stopping the
trying to
horsemen
figure
of
out what
Death's
kind
horse.
of character I would make for an adventure path where our goal is saving Christmas. Oh my gosh.
But like even like other things, there's a number of assorted psychic creatures that take control of people. The Veld Masters are finally put in there, which for anyone who I don't think anyone's a fan of aboleths, but at the very least, if you like aboleths as an inclusion in your adventures, the Veld Masters tacked in there, and I get the feeling that that's going to be a big inclusion in the upcoming adventure path. The Ruins of Aslant, I believe, is what they're.
Yes, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, the upcoming adventure path, which is going to deal a lot with that, and probably aquatic stuff, which is why we have the aquatic adventures. So definitely a good book. Very much enjoyed it. I know a lot of people are under the impression that if it didn't have enough low-level play, it doesn't hit that sweet spot, like the 5th to 12th level range. It's got a number of good options, but not perfect.
Okay, so...
And you've been playing something, or playing something. You've been playing
I was
something.
given homework. Rick was like, read this book, you'll like it. And he was right. Heroes of the Darklands. I've been a fan of the Drow since 3.5. There's some really cool archetypes and stuff in here for characters that are exploring the Darklands. There's a really cool archetype for elves called the Dark Lantern, for the Vigilante, where your alter ego actually turns into a drow, so you can infiltrate their society and to learn information about them for the surface elves. There's several really cool dwarf archetypes and other things like that. There's a cavalier archetype, I guess, for bad people.
Yep.
And then where your mount is a vermin of some sort, like a giant beetle, I think is the picture in the book. They've got gear and spells geared towards navigating the Darklands and cave-ins and...
Spelunking.
Yeah, spelunking. Generally speaking. So yeah, if you have a game that's going to take place in the Darklands, I would highly recommend it. It's very interesting.
Like Second Darkness, guys.
Yeah,
Come on.
Second Darkness, James Jacobs.
Second Darkness.
Come on. Let's see, what else was in here? Oh yeah, they talk about each of the 3 levels of the Darklands and how to get in and out of the Darklands. And there's a list of slang. So if you guys are really into, your group's really into role playing and want to immerse yourselves, there's slang in there. Of course, like always, new spells, new feats, new gear. So it's a really handy little book.
Highly recommend, generally recommend.
I would highly recommend it, especially if that's the direction your campaign is going. Like, if you're going to do anything in the Darklands and that's a main focus of your campaign, that book is really going to be worth it.
I also got to say, again, just as, like, artistic side or something, perusing it, I liked the artwork.
Oh yeah, it's got really good artwork in it. And of course that's always, great to look in the books and see the really good artwork.
Yeah. Sometimes
you can get an idea from a character just from a picture.
So in addition to our talking about books and recent Pathfinder news and everything else as we have, we wanted to do a small section where we basically talk about what we ourselves have been playing or engaged in. This may contain small spoilers. I may be bleeping that out or anything like that. I'm not entirely...
Or, if you can just stop...
Yeah, you can stop now if you don't want spoilers. I would still click the like button, but you can stop now.
Like before you stop watching.
You're still here? Okay. So, game-wise, I have been running through Curse of the Crimson Throne.
The special edition hardcover.
Special edition. We started this at PaizoCon last year when I was there for that one.
Yeah, but then we had to take a hiatus while we finished Serpent Skull.
So we're in book 5 now. So far, I have been very impressed with all the changes. I actually played through it as a player right after it came out initially, so I'm getting to see all the changes from a player to now being a game master.
Changes.
And all of the additions from 3.5 to the Pathfinder rule set. And so far, I've been very impressed with it.
Mm-hmm. I really, really like it. It's, most of the first part you're in the city of Corvosa. In book 5, we've been had to flee because, you know.
As any of you fans of the older adventure paths may be aware, there was kind of a formulaic element to it, and there's always the dungeon crawl book.
And that's the book we're in now.
That is generally book 5.
Skeletons of Scarwall.
Yeah, it's a Greg Vaughn book, which anyone that's a fan of Greg Vaughn would know that Greg Vaughn, yeah, he likes to kill people.
Death.
Yeah.
Death everywhere.
He has to have, like, tangentially a kill count somewhere in the thousands.
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine how his, like, home game goes.
That would be terrifying.
Yeah. Now, in addition to running that game, we are actually both playing in a game hosted by my friend Ross. So we've gotten a chance to play through, I'd say we're probably maybe a quarter of the way through the first book of Carrying Crown.
Yes.
Which has thus far been, I think, excellent.
Yeah, it's just very, very good. I've wanted to play Carrying Crown for a long time. I really love scary movies and the horror genre in general, so this adventure path is right up my alley.
Now, for those of you who have, again, been following the channel for a little while, you'll know that we actually have like an Ustalov Exploring Ustalov video. It is one of my favorite settings. I'm partial to Varisha, just because, or Varissia, however you wish to pronounce it, just because I have been playing there for so long. But so far, really liking the Ustalov feel, very
creepy.
Very land beyond the forest, Romanian, Transylvanian, you know, old world kind of feel to it. All of our characters have thus far been fairly well tied, I feel, to the location.
I think everybody is actually from Ustalov. I don't think we have anyone that's come into the setting from another country in this one.
Which is kind of a nice addition. Many of you may be familiar that we did a segment on Strange Aeons, because Strange Aeons also starts in Ustalov.
That's actually what he will be running for us after we finish Curse.
Yeah, give it a little time. You guys have to survive Curse.
Yes, but Carrying Crown, awesome so far. I'm really, really enjoying it.
The entirety of Carrying Crown is inspired in large part by Victorian literature. So a lot of, Bram Stoker's Dracula, a lot of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, a lot of, the early works of a number of Victorian writers. So you get this very, werewolves prowl the forest under the under the full moon, and
it's
vampires
nighttime,
stalk
let's all hide inside and not leave.
Yeah. We made the mistake of walking out, being forced out of our homes at one point to go and fight things in the middle of the night, because Ustalov is a terrible place.
Ustalov is a terrible place, but it's also wonderful.
Yeah. The whole place basically just shuts down at night. Yeah. So, yeah, that's more or less just highlights from what we've been doing recently. If you guys have had any fun stories, or honestly, if you're, I hope some of you are out there playing, like, Curse of the Crimson Throne right now. Hardback's really good. Give us your thoughts. If you have any questions or anything else, I'd be more than happy to take any of those.
I think that's about it for what we've been up to lately. PaizoCon, you had to get married.
So yeah, that basically sums up everything that we're going to recap here. We are putting out new videos, hopefully all the time, as often as we are capable of doing so. On the subject of all of that, we should have a new Adventuring 101, is that what we're doing?
Jordan and I are working on Adventuring 101 videos, which are basically going to be videos breaking down race, class, and the basic rules, everything you need to make a character if you guys want to play and don't happen to know anyone that's already in the game. So they'll be, simple, this is how you do the things, so you can make a character videos.
Yes. Dean and I are going to be working some more on our Explore series, so we should have that, as well as continuing on our combat videos. And in preparation for Starfinder, once that drops, you can come back here, and we're going to be doing some character creation tips for Starfinders, a little bit of an exploring thing there once we have more information out as exactly what's going to be in the core rulebook, as well as in the first few adventure paths, since that's how they're going to start things.
And we should hopefully get on a more concrete schedule for filming our Let's Play Society videos.
Which, if you find us generally funny, which I know we do, but not everyone else.
We are hilarious.
Yes. We have a number of those videos out. They're generally well received. I think they're good. Mm-hmm. They do directly cover Pathfinder Society from Season 0. There are spoilers.
Spoilers because you watch us play through the story, but we did start with the older ones on purpose, so hopefully most people have played those, and it's not too spoilerific. Yeah.
So, well, that's it, Pathfinders. Let us know your comments down below. Like and subscribe if you can. We will be back here shortly with further reviews on other things that have come out, such as the Fae book, as well as the new Adventurer's Guide.
The Adventurer's Guide, yes, with the prestige classes and the stuff and the things, yes.
Yeah. So we will be back soon with all of that, and in the meantime, good luck, Pathfinders.
Don't die. You wouldn't have gone there of your own volition.
I was at King's Cross Station. There's a picture of me at platform 9 3/4.
I hate you so much.
Pretend to like each other.
That was the only requirement for this video, is you pretend to like me.